right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MovieBuffs podcast, the strongest podcast in the world about movies. I want to apologize for missing last week and the previous 56 weeks as we were a little bit under the weather. I'm brought to you today. I want to stop everything, stomp down right now, and thank our sponsor for bringing us back on air. Febreze, Unstoppables air fresheners for 2 times the scent power. When you go straight from the gym and come sit in your office chair that's upholstered, you don't want it to smell like 1,000 butts. You want it to smell like 500. That's why you need 2 times the freshness. Today, I'm back with the ever-present, effervescent Mr. Disc Thrower himself, Daddy Valencia, El Tigre, and we have a brand new host here with us today. He's asked me to call him a few things, and I didn't think it was okay to say that. So I'm just going to stick with every rose has its thorn. A-Money, Dr. Aaron Rosen. How's it going, guys?
I'm great. Thank you for having me today, guys.
Ron, did you actually look up how many weeks it's been?
No.
It's probably not a bad guess.
I know. It's like, that sounds pretty accurate for an introduction there.
Thank you.
He's just got like a serial killer calendar on the wall, just making X's.
That's what's behind the void.
I was going to say that was pretty tame for an introduction, Ron, for the nickname that you gave Aaron for being a half a movie buff. He needs to work on the actual buff part of it if he wants the full movie buff.
We need some traps.
I think I am bringing down the overall fitness of this podcast. But again, I appreciate you guys bringing me on.
You're not even like wearing any like fitness apparel. I put on a Arnold's Classic t-shirt just for this podcast. And
I have there's a
can't be an actual doctor.
No, this actually fits with the movie. What city is on here?
I guess.
And what city
is
the priest? No, this is where the priest came from, guys.
There you go. I knew that.
Pay attention to the movie.
Ronald definitely paid attention to the movie.
I got my fitness themed. It's Nike and it's Dragon Ball Z. If you ever hear in songs and stuff, they'll use a slang term calling somebody brolic. It's based off of this character, Broly. He's the most physically large, muscled character in all of Dragon Ball Z, which is saying a lot. So he's here to represent for us.
I have no idea what you just said. And so that's a great transition for us, Ron, as we get into talking about the movie, since this is a movie podcast. And as always, I want to set the stage for our listeners, our 7 listeners out there. It's probably 6 now since Aaron is on the podcast and he was one of our regular podcast listeners. So
yeah, sorry to bring the numbers down.
I can't say number 1 in Manhattan Beach anymore, as we have lost that listener. So we're going to be talking about Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out part of the, I don't even know if it's a trilogy. It's probably just going to keep on rolling as they progress with
Knives
these.
Out series.
They just going to make more as they're all pretty good. And so we are relaunching the MovieBuffs podcast in 2026 and starting with something that most everybody has Netflix. They can probably watch this. Hopefully they did. I know that it took me a week and a half, if not more, to watch it just because I am a new father. Ron's a new father. Aaron is already a father. And he already has his schedule set for when he can watch movies. But it took me a couple weekends in order to knock this one out. But I was a big fan. So I'm going to set the stage for us. I'm going to give us our IMDb quick summary here. And I already know I'm going to butcher the names. It's something that I don't practice.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Detective Benoit Blanc. I did practice that one. Teams up with
only say
earnest
it all the fucking time in the movie.
Teams up with an earnest young priest to investigate a perfectly impossible crime at a small town church with a dark history. Now, where we're going to go a little bit deeper is when we're going to talk about the director, Rian Johnson. I'm going to wait to say what most people will have some angst against him. He did Looper, which I thought was a pretty good movie, and one that if you like Bruce Willis, you like what's that with
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
There we go. He's got the three-letter name, and he did the other Knives Out, but then Star Wars Episode 8. Now, probably the most controversial Star Wars out there. And not to say that's not a good movie. I know that I sit on that it's a good movie, but it just completely doesn't fit into what fans wanted. Is that the best way to say it? What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was certainly, it's the most controversial for a reason. I mean, it was really pretty meh, and this is coming from a guy who just
thought it was
absolutely.
meh?
I thought it was meh. I love Star Wars, but it underwhelmed.
Okay, Ronald.
I would give it its credit and say that it was an interesting idea, a set of interesting ideas that was ostensibly set up to fail. Because even if you hear J.J. Abrams talk about it, what he did with 7 was he set up all these mystery boxes with no plan yet. He kind of is open about it, that he's like, I set the mystery and I figure it out later. And then he exited. And so you're left with all these things that you have to pay off. And everyone's criticisms of 7 was that it was episode 4 all over again. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you just paid off all of the mystery boxes, you're just retreading a retread. And if you don't, which is kind of what Rian Johnson went to do, he kind of decided to eschew the expectations there. Then everybody's mad because you didn't give them what they expected. But if you give them what they expected, then you're pandering. So it's a tough situation.
I think it's like trying to end the Lost TV series. You know, you got too many moving parts, too many mystery boxes, like you said, and nobody's going to be happy.
Was there a guy involved in that maybe was involved in the other thing we just talked about?
It's his best friend, isn't it?
Is that Abrams?
Yeah, they worked on it. He's part of the creative team.
Too many mystery boxes.
Yeah.
He's got a thing.
Abrams has like I don't know if it was a college buddy or what he is. He's an actor that he's in all of his properties, and he's just like a normal looking dude.
His name's Greg something.
Yeah, I was watching MI3 the other week, and he's just randomly in it. And I mean, he's also in, I believe, like Star Trek too.
Greg G.G. Grunberg.
What is it? What was he?
They're best friends who met in kindergarten.
Oh,
look, I respect that. You get famous, you know, you get a podcast, and then you bring your friend who's a gynecologist onto your podcast. You know, it's just kind of
no one would do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, you just got to share the wealth a little bit.
There's Greg Double G Grunberg. There you go.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah, he's in everything.
He's just a normal looking dude. Plain old dude. And then Rian Johnson also did probably one of the worst episodes of Breaking Bad, The Fly, which we were joking about before we hit record. Aaron, how would you describe that episode?
I'm going to go on record and say that Breaking Bad is the best TV show ever made, but I will say that The Fly, in a series where every episode is an A, The Fly is a rock solid B-. And it, you know, it almost doesn't move the plot a centimeter. It is painfully boring and uncomfortable, and it should not have any respect. Although I know IMDb might not agree with me.
Yeah. It's that episode in a series that they try to be really cute, really artsy. In The Sopranos, just because I rewatch The Sopranos all the time. It's whenever he gets sick, honestly, whenever he eats, I don't want to say Indian food, but whenever he has the stomach flu, and then all of a sudden he has these flashbacks and he's talking to fish. It's those episodes where you're just like, oh my goodness, I just got to skip over these because they're just.
It's so like when a comedy show does a musical episode. You know, it's
my favorite episode of Breaking Bad was the one where Walt gets really into race walking. Have you seen that one? Yeah, and his 3 kids, his 3 sons, just like won't leave him alone, and he gets into race walking. His wife thinks. How
about the roller skating one, Ron? If we're going down the Malcolm in the Middle route,
I don't think I've seen what. I'm sorry, what show was that?
Oh yeah, sorry. It's a continuation of Breaking Bad.
Oh, cool! I gotta check it out.
Yeah, you got to check it out. You'll love it. He gets a new wife who's way better.
Oh, nice, cool. I gotta check that out.
Well, we'll keep the train moving here with actually getting to our review of the movie and just trying to get closer here. The main cast of this was Daniel Craig, Josh O'Connor, and Glenn Close. There were a few other actors, big name actors.
You mispronounced Close?
I did.
It's all good.
I actually saw a video yesterday talking about the difference between British and American pronunciations. And Daniel Craig is on Stephen Colbert, and he underscores him that he mispronounces his name. They call him, in America, we call him Daniel Craig, like C-R-E-G, Craig. He's like, it's Craig. That's all.
You just relate into the
It's like how people like name Graham. In the UK, they'd be Graham. They pronounce the H.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, it's Craig.
Gotta be careful with that if I ever get a chance to meet the goat Bond.
Mr. Craig, and then wink at him.
I want to know you guys' thoughts on these Rotten Tomatoes scores. So Wake Up Dead Man, it was a 92 and a 93 audience score. Glass Onion, the second one in the installment, was 91, 92. And then the first one was a 97, 92. Don't rank them, but do you feel like those are pretty spot on for each movie?
I agree with that.
Am I allowed? I'm not allowed to rank them.
Just wait till you didn't look at the summary. You didn't look at the outline of the podcast. So don't rank them yet.
Okay. Then I'll put a pin. Ask me later.
Okay.
Bring this back up when we rank them.
We continue.
Now everyone has a hook to come back for.
So to get us going with the plot of the movie, obviously we're going to try to keep this spoiler free because, the best part of a whodunit is finding out who done it. But the general synopsis is we have a fresh and up and coming priest who gets sent out to help at a controversial church in a small town. And a mysterious death occurs, and our favorite detective, Dr. Benoit Blanc, comes in to help, and we get all the classic elements of a whodunit, and I think it's a very fun ride.
And jumping off of that, I would love to jump in with the key characters and performances. Tyler would want to do this, but he's busy right now. He said he has a call coming up at 12. So some of the main characters are Daniel Craig and Glenn Close. Thanos is in this as a guy. Hawkeye's in it as a different guy. Yeah. Josh O'Connell's like one. And then there's and you remember that guy who there's the cops, and then there's and there's a bunch of parishioners. And then there's the Sandman's in it as a guy.
You're not giving Kerry Washington the respect she deserves. She is
and then Kerry Washington's actress. In it. And then she's had a really annoying stepson, I think was the character in it. Or was it her brother? I don't know what his character was. I forgot about that. But importantly, the lady from the Nova Corps is married to Sandman. The lady from Scandal's in it. Thanos is in it. James Bond is in it. Hawkeye's in it. 70s Show is in it.
Yeah, there
you go. That's the main characters.
I've heard in different podcasts how Josh O'Connor, this is like his breakout role. I know that, Ron, you joked about in a text message from talking about Challengers. I didn't watch that movie, so I don't know what happened in it. I've only heard about the spicy scenes in it, but I thought he was
sexy as hell.
I thought he was really the star of the movie. I mean, the other two, it's pretty clear. You're going to watch Daniel Craig. And in this one, I mean, just how he leads the movie throughout it. It's pretty solid.
I have a little compliment sandwich here. Kind of. It's an uncompliment sandwich. So I never saw Challengers, and I was like, I don't understand, the big hoopla. I didn't see the movie, but I was like, some people you see them and you're like, they're just a megastar. This guy, he's obviously handsome, but he's closer to normal looking, a little gawky looking. And I'm like, oh, well, why is he such a big sex symbol? And then within 5 minutes of watching this film, like, oh, I get it. This guy is such a believable, natural, talented actor that whatever role you put him in, that he embodies it so much that if he's playing a sex symbol, that's how you're going to see him. When he's playing this good natured priest who really wants to help people, that's how you see him. You really like him. So that's good. He's supposed to be an ex-boxer. The guy can't box for shit. I don't know if that bothered anybody else.
I thought he had kind of an old-timey look to him when he put his dukes up. It's
that's why
you're going to say, what about my wife? Put your dukes up. They were going to
explain that he was a boxer in the 20s and it was a time travel mystery. I thought that was going to be the impossible crime because he was like, see?
I'm not winning this by split decision here. We're going for a knockout.
But other than his anachronistic boxing style, I thought he did a wonderful job carrying the film. And I think that's one of the strong points of this as a series is that they do vacillate between whodunits and howdunnits. And they spend so much focus on you would presume would be the secondary character, the non-Daniel Craig character, that each film really does feel like a standalone story based off, because it's based off the person whom is closest involved with the mystery, and Daniel Craig gets to be this nice flourish.
Well, this one also, it didn't follow the same path of showing you a lot of the key details right off the bat.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there. I mean, I rewatched this over the last few days, and with this movie, I mean, now you see some of the small things that you're like, okay, this is what actually happened when somebody dies. One of the characters dies, and why one of the other characters is making a scene and that kind of stuff. Like, you see those things, but in the other two movies, like, they show you very early on what's going on, and then they just completely turn it on its head. And I thought that was such a interesting decision by Rian Johnson, how it just shows how talented he is as a writer and as a director, that he's so talented with just layering this movie, in my opinion.
I think this also it was a lot more classic of a whodunit in that the murder occurs and then they just build off of it. And you can tell that, like, the actors are having so much fun in this project. The writing is very good. It's a lot of fun, but it's very classically whodunit. And it's extra fun that they reference all those old books that were like the building blocks for this whole genre. It makes for a very fun peek into the genre.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Something that, and this is kind of jumping around here, I had watched one of those like scene breakdowns. I don't know if it was what magazine it was, but on YouTube, Rian Johnson breaks down a scene from the movie, and he's breaking down the scene from the bar when Benoit has the picture, and he's kind of flipping it up, flipping it down. And they did it very old school. He just held up a picture, like they took a photo of the frame. They went, I don't know if he said he went to Kinko's or wherever, but they went, took a picture of it, put it in there, did all the magic for it, and just had, I don't know who they had just flipping it up and down in front of the camera, but just like very old school in that. But that was actually a set. I think he mentioned how in the background, you can't see some of these things, but like they had, I know that in one of the previous ones they had, or if it was a different movie, like Jeremy Renner's Hot Sauce or something like that. Like all these little small trinkets and all this kind of stuff of how they built it out. And I think
that was the second one where they kept talking about Jerry Renner's Hot Sauce.
Yes.
Yeah, there's all sorts of cute little Easter eggs in this movie that I want to try to keep it spoiler free, but we can touch on those later because there's some fun ones.
And yeah, I feel like he doesn't use all these huge tricks or these huge spins. It's all in front of your face, which makes it fun, I think, for the audience.
Yeah. So I think that constriction too also keeps him to having to really keep an eye on plot contrivances and making it overly, convenient or contrived. It's like if you have to be able to see it and pick it back up, it has to make some sort of sense. You can't just, time travel it, even though he does. Spoiler alert.
But one of the more interesting conversations I've heard about the movie has to do with religion and how, I don't want to say a lot, but in some movies these days, religion is used kind of as a joke in some portrayals. And the main character of this film, he really sticks to his guns, like what he believes in, helping others. And he's sent there in order to hopefully turn this church around and bring more people in, grow it. And he wants to help people. And the individual that is using religion to their own benefit, that is the person that ends up getting killed. But how did you guys think that? Spoiler alert! Maybe I got to cut that out there. But
no, leave it in, dude. Glenn Close deserves to die in that movie.
But how did you guys think religion was used throughout the movie?
So, I think religion was used very warmly in this movie, because if you follow the way that Josh O'Connor played the young priest, he's very green. He's very positive. He's approaching religion with all the gung ho that you would expect a young priest to do in a new town. And all the religious elements that are not, his opposite character that's very doom and gloom. The religious themes that carry through the movie are done very warmly and tastefully. You're not getting beaten over the head with Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. You're getting more the positive elements of religion that I think anyone can identify with, regardless of your faith. It's really just like, this is an opportunity for us to help people and to bring people up and to be a support in the community. I found it actually very refreshing, and I'm Jewish. I don't typically love a heavy-handed Catholic or Christian film. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was nice for it not to be just like, if you're a person of faith, you're an idiot and you're going to be wrong. And, oftentimes, like you said, it's used as a punching bag, or they're like, oh, they're simple because they believe that. It's like, it showed a nuanced approach, and his whole thing was, I thought, a nice, hopeful, idealized version of like, if this is the position you're in, regardless of if someone believes strictly in whichever doctrine, the idea is that all churches and religions are in place to help one another and to uplift people and give them hope. And I thought that was quite nice.
Yeah.
And to your point, Ronald, I think Benoit Blanc kind of embodies what you were talking about, where he kind of came in with this, like, I can't wait to take down the church. Yeah. And he's like, these miracles are BS and I'm going to burn it all down. But the positive elements that come through from the young priest kind of rub off on him, and it becomes a much more positive experience for everybody.
Yeah, I thought that was really nice. It's kind of a spoiler, but it's just nice to say, like, it zigs in some places you think it might zag.
Yeah. And
it does give you that message of like, sometimes, stuff's more important than being right.
I'm going to go back to some character stuff here. I'm going to ask you both who your favorite character is. Think about yours while I tell you which one is mine. And mine is more for a sentimental piece, and Ron will know about this. Mine was Thomas Hayden Church, one of my one of my favorite movies, and it's not even a great movie. It's Sideways, and I have done the Sideways tour out in Buellton, California. Ronald was there. And for those that are watching the live version or the video version of this, you could tell that I do have some Asian in me, and I can't drink that much. And going with Ronald, who is of Hispanic background, I mean, he was literally had like a wine bottle just in an IV, and I'm hurting over there, and he's just trying to pour more down my throat. But anyways, Samson Holt from the movie was my favorite character. He just went out along with everything, and that's more sentimental than anything. Aaron, who's your favorite character?
I think my favorite performance was probably Josh Brolin as the Monsignor Jefferson Wicks. I think that...
You liked his confessions?
I found his confessions to be very entertaining. I will give a mild spoiler with the confessions. There is a Easter egg in the film where Wicks is actually a German slang term for masturbation. So hang on to that one for some of his early confessions.
I just thought you took his advice and you tried to hold your hand backwards.
Oh, I've tried it every which way, baby. This has been 25 years of practice. So I just think Josh Brolin, like he's very powerful in the role. He embodies that character very well. He hits on a lot of religious, political, social subtexts that like are kind of woven in and out of the movie, which I think are very interesting. And I just think he does a great job. Like, he's kind of a piece of crap as a character, but he does a great job being that piece of crap.
Yeah.
Ron, what you got?
Every time you see Josh Brolin in something, he's one of those guys that is not going to half-ass it.
Full ass.
He puts his whole ass into it, and I appreciate that about him. My favorite performance, I'm going to go with our main character, Josh O'Connor. I think the empathy he brought to that, and I just really felt his character coming through. Like, it didn't feel like a performance at all. It felt like a really embodied acting job, and I liked it a lot. I think my least favorite would probably be the sheriff, and I won't say who plays the sheriff because it's a fun when they pop up. But I thought that was out of place as far as like, you have Kerry Washington as, you have Kerry Washington as one of the parishioners who doesn't get a whole lot of screen time, and she's just off the charts talented and can play anything.
Lights out.
And then you have her in such a diminished role, whereas like I think if you flip those two actors, or maybe even replaced the actor who does play the sheriff, and gave somebody else.
Say Mila Kunis?
It's a spoiler. Yeah, I thought it was a surprise. Like, why the hell is she playing this role? And then she doesn't. It feels like they gave her the script a little last second.
I just don't buy Mila Kunis as a small town sheriff. There are just certain movie roles that don't make sense to me. Mila Kunis as a small town sheriff is just not tracking for me. It's like when they tried to make Angelina Jolie one of those firefighters that drops out of a helicopter. It just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't fit. Yeah. That's why I think like a Kerry Washington, if you're going to stick with like a petite woman in a small town, like her acting ability could make you believe that she's the kind of person that could move up the ranks to become the sheriff. But I think Mila Kunis' performance was also just kind of like, it was not full-assed.
Yeah, I think it's an attempt at a soft reboot for her career. I think she's still doing damage control.
She might have friends in oily places.
Ooh.
Just thinking about Josh Brolin, I felt so bad. I was watching a Happy, Sad, Confused episode, and he was talking about Jonah Hex, and I was trying to remember the name of the superhero movie he had done, and that wasn't well received. And I know that has a begging cast. I didn't watch Jonah Hex, but I just feel like he was trying to say, without being too mean, how he got what's that called when
typecast.
When somebody gets like
a cold
online
sore.
And they try to tell you that I'm going to be your girlfriend, but really it's like an old dude, catfished. I feel like he was trying to say
we've all been there, role. Tyler. Okay,
Aaron and I have not, but interesting enough what Ron you're saying with not believing Mila Kunis was. I felt like I was like pretty shocked when she walks in on the screen, and you're like, I agree. That's what I'm trying to say.
It takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah, I think the casting and the performance is just not. It just doesn't.
Mila Kunis she's a perfectly fine actress. I just think that it's a weird casting decision to put her in that role.
Mm-hmm. And
all right, quick favorite Mila Kunis performance and why is it Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake?
You know what's funny? I was about to say Friends with Benefits with Justin Timberlake.
Tyler, prove us wrong.
That movie.
Prove us wrong, bitch.
It is shockingly good. It's really fine. Not a bad movie. And I love a good rom-com. I was pushing for rom-coms as the discussion today. I hope that we will do that in the next episode. And I'm going to put a pin in that for later.
Spoiler alert, ladies and gents. Next month is the sexiest month of the year. And I'm not just talking about tax time. We're going to do a rom-com episode for Valentine's Day. Yes, I say it with an M.
I'm drawing a blank on, like I usually do. What's the other movie that came out at the same time? That's the same thing as...
Oh my God, No Strings Attached. And it's her husband and Natalie Portman.
Yes, that's the way better version of it.
Nope. Hey, can Ashton Kutcher sing? I'm sorry. Has Ashton Kutcher sold like 75 million records? I'll wait.
I mean,
has Ashton Kutcher ever made a song called Dick in a Box? I'll wait. Huh? Can't hear you, bitch. Sorry, guys. I get real.
I mean, obviously, Natalie Portman is one of the most beautiful women on the planet, but even she's not enough to carry that movie to be better than JT and Mila.
You know what you would call it if Tyler was convinced that it was better just because Natalie Portman's in it? You'd call it Portmania. Medical condition. Ask the doctor. Moving on.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Rian Johnson's directorial style here. Tyler, what do you see here as his kind of signature components as a director and as a writer? What stands out in the movie to you?
Mm-hmm. What I always go back to is how does a director move the camera? And I feel like he's a director that's not shy with moving the camera, even just starting the movie. There's so much movement with just the introduction, and when the main character is kind of setting the stage, Josh O'Connor, about who he is, where he's going. That camera is just moving all over the place. And I feel like that's part of what he does. He keeps the audience engaged with the movement, his writing, the script. It all sounds so good when it's coming from the actors. And I can see why he can attract so many of these high level actors and actresses, is that they know that it's going to be a good movie. I'm sure whenever he calls somebody up, they're like, yeah, I'm there. I'll be there. Yeah. And so I think that it's always a test. I feel like when you're seeing a combo like that, he is the writer and the director of the movie. You're like, okay, how is this going to be? But it feels like he's just having fun with all of these movies. Mm-hmm. And I liked what Ronald pointed out earlier with how each one can be a standalone in itself. You don't have to watch the other ones to be able to watch the third one or the first one. You could watch them out of order. Mm-hmm. And with this one, what I said earlier with the uniqueness of how it doesn't follow the same script as before, like with the first movie, it was just so clever how they'd shown you who had done it. I don't want to ruin it right off the bat with that for anybody that wants to go back and watch that one. But with this one, you are trying to make your guesses. I feel like as it gets closer to the end, I know that I asked my wife, who do you think did it? And it wasn't even close of actually what happened there. And even after I feel like I finished the first watch, I was like, wait, so who did it? Who actually like?
And there are a couple of good fake outs.
Yeah.
Where you're I figured this out. And like, oh no, never mind. I was wrong.
No. I totally got more out of this the second watch. Like you notice like the little nuances, but it's still, even rewatching, knowing what's happening, knowing how it ends, it's not told to you. It's not like they didn't hand this thing to you on a platter and be like, this is who done it. It's really cool how they put it all together. And Ron, I thought that this movie was really beautifully shot. I thought the cinematography was cool.
Yeah.
What did you think when you were watching it?
I was actually going to jump in to Tyler and tell him, with Rian Johnson being writer director, that does put a lot of power in one man's hands. And I think part of the reason these are so good is he seems like somebody who is clear in his vision, but isn't dictatorial. Like, you can tell that he's working with a team. And that brings me to the cinematography. It's done by Steve Yedlin, who's done all of his movies. And I thought that like keeping that core team with you, like, a lot of people will keep a cinematographer with them through a lot of their projects because they get that shorthand language where, if you want something lit a certain way or you want to convey a thing, you can not have to sit there. If you've ever seen somebody have to explain to somebody brand new, basically you see it in your head, you have to get that out. So the longer you work with somebody, when you have a good relationship, you can have those flourishes, like some of the things with the lighting and the church that I've never seen that done before. I'll expound a little bit further. But anyway, having a good close teammate like that really lends itself well to being able to make stylistic choices that don't hammer you over the head or don't take you out of the film unless it's on purpose. Like some of the camera whip pans and stuff are a great way to remind people you're in a movie. But when that's the language of the film, you do it tastefully, you do it purposely. I thought it was all executed really well. The thing I was talking about with lighting that I found really, it was nice. I noticed it in the first scene and I was like, oh, they're going to bring this back later. That's really beautifully done. That because they're a church, they have stained glass windows running the length of the church as well as big arch ones right up behind where the crucifix would go. And usually in a film, what you would do is light those pretty evenly, right? Get your shadows how you want it. You build that as a set so you can control that the sun's not going to come and go. And something they did that I thought was really beautifully executed was that they used that to great effect. So instead of it just being like a static light like this, right? Every once in a while, the clouds would come in and you'd lose some of that light. And it would go with a conversation. So as the conversation grew darker, the lighting around it would shift, but based off of the actual weather happening outside. I'd never seen that done before. And I was like, oh, this is going to come in really handy. And if we fast forward to the climax of the film, as some of those themes of like hope and taking away the people's hope and what's more important, being right or, doing what is best for the most people, that light comes and goes thematically with the dialogue as it goes along. And I thought it was really well done. So pat on the back, hats off to everybody involved.
Yeah, that was my first thought when I was watching this with my wife, is like even in the first couple of scenes, you notice they do a really, really good job playing with the light,
Mhm.
darker themes, darker light. And when there's this beacon of hope, or kind of this like, what did he call it? That road to Damascus moments in the film, where you get this rush of beautiful sunlight, or fake sunlight, whatever they're using, onto the characters' faces. And because you're in a church, and look, I travel a lot. I've been to a lot of old churches. One of the coolest things about going into old churches is just seeing that light pour into these beautiful old churches and these huge windows. And you wonder how they made these incredible structures 500 years ago. Yeah. But having that light come in, and just like the light itself is a character. And the shadows are very cool. Like, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but there are some very cool shadow moments where, someone's shadow is played up against a crucifix, and it's like there's a sacrificial moment there. Like there's some really cool interplay between light and dark and shadow in this movie that really makes it a fun movie watching experience.
And even bringing in the weather, like you said, they motivate all those light changes because it's, what is it? Like rural upstate New York during the winter. So there's storms that come and go. So it's not just the light changing for the fuck of it. And then at some of the lowest points, right, you have that storm that's been creeping in, comes down on everybody at kind of the zenith of the film, at that really highest moment of conflict. The other thing I wanted to point out is, in composition, what they call those like big bursts of light that come through the clouds, would come through a window, is called a God ray. That's how you would like describe what you're trying to get. I want to get some good God rays coming through that. So I thought that's just a fun little trivia bit for what they're doing with the light.
Yeah. And I mean, we should give a shout out to Ronald for lighting himself for this recording here. I could tell that Ron, he made sure.
I'm in the dark about what you're talking about. Hold on, wait. Is that a great idea?
There we go.
Look, I did have time to adjust my microphone, but I wasn't getting professional studio lighting for this, guys. Maybe for the next one.
Thankfully, we're in my audition void, so this setup is kind of lives in my office.
You should probably step your game up, Aaron, for Movie Buff podcasting.
I mean, I do gynecology podcasting on the side, and they've never asked me to change my lighting settings.
You have to light yourself a little differently for those.
What are those? What are the straps called? You should get one of those put in the background.
I think those are called stirrups, and I don't keep them in my house because male gynecologists get arrested for that kind of thing.
Sheesh.
Really, and that's why they call him the. I was going to call back to one of those nicknames that Aaron begged to be called.
Any standout scenes? I know that I wanted to do a shout out for any immature listeners that we have out there. I know that I still got a laugh out of it just because we grew up in an era of drawing wieners on whiteboards and on everything.
Maybe you did, like a pervert.
As a teenager, and the scene where she called them rocket ships.
Where they dong the tomb. That was really good.
But I mean, I really liked the scene where they think somebody has risen and come back from the dead. Hence the name of the movie.
Christ.
Not ruining anything by stating the name of the movie. I think it's fair game there.
For when Rooney Mara comes back from the dead at the end of Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, you're blowing it for everybody.
What?
Is that the wrong Daniel Craig movie?
That's a good one. Another good one, but
also a great whodunit.
With this movie, that was a personal favorite just because there's so many elements of it.
Sorry, can you hold on? I have to take this.
How many times?
I was just kidding. This one didn't ring. This one did, though. Hi. Sorry. Yeah, he's.
Why do you have two phones? Who's calling you?
I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. No, I told him not to spoil it. No, you won't guess. No. It's Dave Bautista. He comes back at the end after he throws him off that train. Okay. All right. Talk later. So what were you saying? Is that the wrong Daniel Craig movie again? Is that the wrong Daniel Craig movie again? Fuck, I hate when I do that.
I mean, I think there's an early scene with the two priests kind of squaring off, and you could tell that it's opposing personalities, opposing ideals, opposing plans for how to run the church. It's beautifully acted. It's funny. And there's it's just a really fun scene to watch, and it's early. It's not like a huge spoiler. It's just a joy to watch these two actors square off. That one was my favorite.
I think mine was, speaking of phone calls, it was thematic. Mine was the phone call that Father, what's his name, ends up on when they're trying to call to find out who ordered the blank for the blank and the dates don't line up. And there's a really sweet moment where him and Benoit are all in a big old rush to find out this information. They got to know right now. It's imperative. It's life or death. And the woman on the other end says, Father, I've been having a hard time. And he tries to rush her off, and she mentions it again. He goes, well, was there something you need to talk about? She mentions that her mother's sick. And it's a bit of a spoiler, but I think it's worth sitting around for just to see how he handles that. And it's one of those things that, you like to think that there are more people than not in that kind of situation who would hopefully take up the mantle and really do the job that he's supposed to have, which is he sits there and counsels this woman who's been nothing but annoying the whole movie. And again, a little bit of a spoiler, but he counsels her through the night, and they lose an entire night of investigation time because he prioritizes counseling this woman who's going through a hard time. And I thought that was, it also kind of was reflective of what the theme of the film ended up being in the climax when Benoit, kind of has that last conversation. So that was my favorite scene.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
I thought that was very pretty.
I do want to give a shout out to that actress, Bridget Everett. She was in one of my favorite movies that I feel like doesn't get enough love, Patty Cakes. And I know my wife's going to laugh at me for doing that, but very random movie. If you have not seen it, it is a random movie, but Patty Cakes, they don't show it anywhere. Anyways,
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, Google it, look it up. Let's get into ranking these movies, the Knives Out movies. Aaron, as the newcomer to our group, give us your top three.
I hate to be, that guy and just agree with the IMDb rankings, but I do feel like they nailed it here. Like, I think that, or the Rotten Tomatoes rankings, I think that the first one's incredible. It's like so much fun. The Benoit Blanc character is so like out there, and he's like a little bit silly, and it's such a joy. 1, 3 being this one, and then the second one would be my definitive rankings.
Ronald?
I agree. I think I would actually tie 1 and 3. I think they're both really well done. I think if they came out in a different order, like you might go, if this came out first, you'd go, this one was incredible. I think if this had been the first time you saw Benoit, I think this would be ranked number 1. Does that make sense? Because the kind of impression it makes, but I appreciated that this one made him earn some of his character development that, he's always been ostensibly a second tier character in his own movies. So this one to like actually wait 2 movies into the third movie, you get some real character development for him was nice. But I think if this had come out first, this would be ranked number 1 for me. But as it stands, it's like ranked 1.5. I liked number 2, but I think that's the one that I would find myself going back to the least. I think it was a little bit on the nose, like especially for all of us that maybe if later generations that weren't adults, like locked down during COVID, you remember it so vividly. It feels like the biggest chunk of life to ever have happened. So like to watch it back, it's just like, I don't even think about that. So maybe when it's like a historical event and not something that was still pretty recent to us, it might work its way back in the rotation. But for me, number 2 is number 3.
Yeah. Stole the words out of my mouth there, Al. That is the one that I have not gone back to watch, and had the unfortunate task of having to address the pandemic in a film, and it's just kind of cringe now. Like it's unfortunate. Like you're just like, oh man, so long ago. Not saying this is not a pandemic podcast. We're not talking about what happened in 2020 or 2021, and but it does feel like one that you're like, I don't know if I want to watch that one, and go through how hard that was that year. But
it does have some great twists and great turns and stuff.
Yeah. But
I found that one, the setting makes it a little less fun. Like it's a little bit less fun of a mystery when it's just like, yeah, people could just chill out though. Like it's just such a pretty setting, and it's a little bit more not sci-fi, but bordering on it, with the giant glass, like impossible structure and the supercar on the roof and some explosions and some of the things that could never happen.
Yeah, I feel like that setting takes you out of it a little bit. Like it's so ridiculous. It's not real. Whereas like, rural upstate New York, like I'm wearing my Albany sweatshirt right now. Like I went to medical school out there. Like that setting, although that's not where they filmed it, that felt very, real and tangible. Whereas like Glass Onion I've never been to, what I imagine is tech bro Epstein Island. Like that was like really over the top. And that makes it the least realistic and fun to me.
Yeah, agreed. I think that plus the COVID thing, it's just like, it combines to be like the least fun to go back to.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with our recommendations. I will say definitely watch it at home, Netflix, able to just pop it on. And it is something that I would say full watch, not have your phone open and watch it. Take a breather, drink some wine, have some popcorn, enjoy it, and come back and report. Ronald, what do you say?
I'd say if you could have two phones open, the more the merrier. I wanted to point out something that I think is important.
Okay.
That Rian Johnson followed directly in the tracks of the latest Agatha Christie trilogy. They went cold one, hot one, spooky one. Murder on the Orient Express, Knives Out, cold and cold. Death on the Nile, Glass Onion, hot and hot. Haunting of Venice, Wake Up Dead Man, spooky, spooky. Coincidence?
Look, I got to tell you, Ronald goes off a lot, but I feel like that was like oddly spot on.
I was going to turn off my camera at the end and just leave, but I don't know if it'll like freeze it for you guys, so I'll stay on. But imagine I just left at that point.
I mean, I think I've made my opinion pretty clear here. I'd say I agree, full watch. I think this was a lot of fun. Prior to watching it, like Tyler, I took a couple of weeks to jump into it after its release because I had gotten, a couple of text messages that it wasn't great.
I never addressed that.
Yeah. And I had a good friend of mine from medical school who's a huge movie geek, also super buff. This guy would be a perfect guy to have on here. He's a monster. But he told me totally worthwhile. Go for it. And my wife and I had a ton of fun watching this movie. Who doesn't love a good whodunit? Before we finish, other good whodunits, give them to me. Ron, what you got?
I like Death on a Nile. I thought it was really good.
Even with Gal Gadot's acting?
No. Sorry, I meant...
We're talking old school.
It sucks, too, because the one before that, I meant Murder on the Orient Express. I like that one quite a bit. And spoiler alert for Death on the Nile, she does die very early, so that's a nice... She's not in it enough. But the Murder on the Orient Express, it's got some Johnny Depp action, who's also not my favorite guy to watch. I know Tyler's a huge fan of everything he's ever done on and off camera. Especially off camera. He talks about him as a personal hero. The hats. He said Tyler wishes one thing only. He wish he had more jewelry.
His hat collection.
He wish he had more jewelry, more hats, more accessories. But yeah, Murder on the Orient Express is great. Tyler, you go and then I'll think of another one.
I had to look it up. Thankfully, Ronald rambled enough. I'm going to shout out Zodiac, The Nice Guys.
That doesn't count.
This is what came up when I typed into Google whodunit movies.
Do you like Murder Mystery, the movie starring Adam Sandler?
It's actually quite funny.
I've never seen it.
Don't be a hater. The Sandman actually knocked that one out of the park.
All right.
Aaron, I know what you did last summer.
But that's a slasher.
Okay.
I think we gotta give credit to like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, great kind of whodunit type movie. Hateful Eight, similar, great. I think this one is unique in that it plays on a lot more humor than a lot of these movies. But I think they need to make more of these. Like murder mystery movies are just fun. I think it's hard to make them unique. And I think that's why Rian Johnson's writing was so cool here. But these are just fun movies. Like unplug from reality, throw your phone on the other side of the room and just watch these guys do it. It's a lot of fun.
I'm going to propose something here and we'll see if I keep this in the final edit of the podcast. So big news
Shit,
over
balls,
the last
fuck.
over the
Give you reason to take it out.
over the past 3 months has been the sale of Warner Brothers to Netflix. And one of my favorite directors, he's famously said that he'll never make something for Netflix. I don't know how true that is. I'm talking about Christopher Nolan.
About Nolan?
Yes. And so with this movie, I mean, this is an original film. Pretty much seems like this director has free reign to do what he wanted. Do you think that anything's going to change over the next year? Because obviously it's going to take forever for this to complete. But I mean, that's a big thing. Like, I know that one of you just mentioned it. They need to make more movies like this. But it seems like either we're not getting, these directors aren't getting the opportunity to make them, or is there a demand for them? What do you guys think?
Ron, I'll let you give your thoughts.
I think Rian Johnson made a bag for this. Christopher Nolan's definitely not going to compromise. He can go to any studio he wants to get his stuff greenlit. Mm-hmm. That's the reason he left whomever he was with before. Didn't he leave Warner Brothers for a while and then just came back because they weren't playing ball with his demands, and he's one of the few guys that can do that kind of thing. Rian Johnson made an ungodly amount of money to do these, and I think that's even then he and Daniel Craig have been on record kind of not happy with the fact that they didn't get the kind of theatrical release they wanted. Mm-hmm. And I think the kind of movies we get are going to be entirely decided by how much money they make. So if Netflix continues to dump everything right into our house, they're not going to make any money. They can eschew the theatrical experience, and they're trying to actively shut it down. At least that's what their mission statement has been in the past. Now they're saying they're going to maintain it as they purchase Warner Brothers, just as a kind of a way to placate the public at large. But I think the theatrical experience is in serious danger.
I think that's a really good point, albeit a scary one. I think the flip side to that is like you can see a lot more high quality actors, writers, directors bringing stuff to these streaming platforms. I think, I saw an interview that Glenn Close did, and she talked about how excited she was when she had the opportunity to be part of this movie. So I think that like when you have the right people involved, this whole stigma of this being a streaming platform might mean less to people. But I agree with you. There's going to be some elites. I don't see Spielberg doing this. I don't see Christopher Nolan doing this. And I love their stuff. And that's certainly stuff that I'll go to the theaters to see. But I think you're going to see more and more money, especially as these companies are merging and creating these, gigantic mega corporations that control basically all the media that we're seeing. You're going to see more of it. And I think we just kind of have to strap in and deal with it. Unless somebody can wave a magic wand and get movies like they were making in the 90s to get, ticket sales up. I just don't see it happening. Tyler?
Yeah.
If only there were antitrust laws to break up monopolies, but unfortunately there are not.
This movie was intensely politically themed. I mean, they literally listed all the hot button issues that have been dominating the news cycle for the last 5 years. I think we can't ignore that, but it was done tastefully and humorously. I hope that the movie experience continues. I actually come from the viewpoint that I don't think it's too. That's not on the. I think it's more on the movie theater than anything, in my opinion. And I know that you two pointed out something differently. I just think that the movie experience for the general public has not really changed. I think as becoming a parent, you get to that point where you're like, oh man, I really have to plan it out. The movie theater is always going to get the people that love movies, that go there for the experience. But what about the other people, the majority of people? And I think that is a viewpoint that I bring it up all the time in conversation. And it's one of those ones that, what are they going to do to get the general public the money that they need in order to get more money, more millions and millions of dollars? And
to wrap this up, I'm going to let our newcomer do our closing here. Aaron, go ahead.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for letting me be part of this. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the show. I've been listening for years, ever since Tyler sent me these podcasts when you guys had atrocious audio for your first several episodes. It's just been a dream of mine.
But again, looking at each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
super sweaty because we couldn't turn on the air. Yeah. It was always between training clients.
But look, I enjoyed this movie. I enjoyed chatting with you guys about it. Thank you for including me, and looking forward to doing more MovieBuffs podcast with you guys.
Woohoo! Thank you to everybody listening. There's a lot of options out there for movie podcasting, and we will catch you in the next one.
Okay, love you. Bye.